G'day folks, thought I'd start off this week's renovation clip with a bit of a look at the aquaponics. And yeah, very happy locust feasting on a healthy tomato leaf there. So these little tomatoes, I'll dispatch him later by the way, these tomatoes down in the system ended up being a broad ripple yellow currant. If you didn't watch the earlier clips, I wasn't too sure what variety this was. And if it wasn't a broad ripple yellow currant, I was actually going to pull it from the system, mainly because tomatoes notoriously get very large root masses. And yeah, they can cause issues with drainage in grow beds. I mean, all you have to do is look at that gallingle over the back there, and you can see how much of the media it's pushed up towards the edge, so it's a bit of an issue as well. But yeah, it's doing surprisingly well in an aquaponic system that has no fish. But yeah, I thought I'd give you a bit of a quick look at this because I have had people ask how the system's going because there's no fish in it. And as you can see from the hoe and knock, it has grown over the pathway, even though I have pruned it back once or twice. And you can see some of the Okinawan spinach growing in over the top from over the back of the beds. So I'm pretty much well resigned to the fact that I won't be doing any work on this system until we move back into the place. Once the builders are finished, we'll come in and I'll clean out these grow beds and actually rework these filters and whatnot. But yeah, I figured I might as well keep it running as long as I can to get the odd bit of a harvest out of here. We have been taking things like the mushroom herb. There's some Brazilian spinach over there that's doing all right, surprisingly enough, in the shade, and the vast amount of Okinawan spinach over the back, and also some of this hoe and knock. So just a little bit of a look at the system. I am still feeding it up on the Charlie Carp, which is a fish emulsion based fertilizer. So I will be doing a few nutrient tests before I put fish back in the system, just mainly because Charlie Carp does have a fair amount of copper in it, and copper and fish don't go too well together, for you folks who aren't too aware. But yeah, it's green, it's growing, so I'm happy to leave it going for the time being. We'll nip up to the house and have a bit of a gander at what's going on up there. So to begin with, the guys spent a couple of days on the roof fixing up the flashing that runs down onto the veranda roof here to make it leak proof, and we've had a couple of downpours and yep, they did a good job. Also too, they've popped on the new gutters. They had some on order for a while, so it took them a while to get that all sorted. They're not really plumbed into anywhere at the moment. This one here goes down that large ag line and then through the pipe and runs out down the back. Oh, and I've managed to save a fair bit of the hardwood from what they've ripped out upstairs, and I'll be making some workbenches and bits and pieces with this stuff. No point in wasting it, I figure. They're not quite ready to put the decking on yet, which is good because we actually would like to treat the decking before it goes up. It's going to be made of Quila or Merbau, I think you pronounce it, and it leaches a lot of tannins when it's wet, so we'd like to treat that first before it gets put up, because the last thing we want is all of our concrete down here to get stained. I mean, really, it's not going to affect the concrete, but it'll just look nicer without it. Downstairs, we now have a lockable downstairs area, and as you can see, they've sheeted with the fibro and they've added the plaster. Plasterers are coming back next week to sand it all back and get it ready for painting, and then Bianca and I will be finishing off the painting work. Another thing that they've done is they've roughed in all the electrical and plumbing that needs to be roughed in for the parts of the renovation that are cladded at the moment. So it's basically just getting all the pipes and the lines in place. Just to give you some idea, they've basically got all the cold and the hot water pipes going where they need to. They've got the drains. That's a floor drain from the bathroom, which I'll show you in a tick. A toilet drain, vanity sink drain, and the shower waste over there. So they're all pretty much all roughed in so the guys can fix you know, the plaster to the wall and whatnot. And as you can see, all the rot that was in the floor has been replaced. But before we go upstairs to check out what they've done, we might have a look inside here. So we do have one lock here, but mind you, this room here is actually, if we can unlock it, this room here is actually going to be underneath our stairs. The stair landing is just up there to the left, and then the stairs will be coming down here to a platform that sits probably at the top of the lid of that box before it goes down again, actually a little bit taller than that. So this area here will be accessible from outside, and I've got a couple of ideas for it. I think it's a little bit too enclosed to be a worm room, have the worm farm in here. I'm thinking I might set it up over there so I can get the winter sun, as you can see, maybe a little bit of shade cloth over it. But it will be very useful for putting hoses and garden tools and that in there. Just lock them up and keep them out of the weather. If we walk around under and through the stairs, we better put some lights on, I think. There we go, just put the light on the phone here, so it won't be the best quality, but it'll give you the idea. In here, they've put in the wet area board, which is just fibro, just for the laundry. And that's pretty much all they've done down here. They have put some battens up to put the ceiling on, but I dare say that won't happen till next week. And there's just some idea of the plumbing they've had to do for our on-demand gas hot water system. I need to run some electricity for it, and also a relay back to the bathroom so we can adjust the water temperature there. And look at that, they've left me a roll of aquaponic wrap. Aren't they kind? So they've also roughed in the electrics upstairs as well, and the water and gas. So we've got an oven isolation switch, power point and light switch and whatnot. The plumber hasn't put the gas line in for the hot plates yet, or the stove top, mainly because we just need a verification of whether it needs to come from the floor or the wall. Pretty sure it needs to come from the floor, so that's something he can do later. John and the boys are just going to clad the walls up here with the plaster, and then later on we're getting a cabinet maker in, Andrew. Thank you very much, mate. He's going to come in and fix us up with some cabinets. Just over here at the kitchen sink, where it will be eventually. We've got the cold water through here. There'll be a reverse osmosis under there, waste to downstairs. Oh, and I forgot to mention before, we're getting a little kitchenette, or basically a sink, and in a kitchen cabinet downstairs directly under here as well. That way it's all plumbed in, so when we renovate downstairs, we don't have to have anything passed by council. It's already there. So just trying to make it a little bit easier. Upstairs here, they put the battens up on the ceiling last week as well, before the plumber and the sparky came through to put all the wires everywhere. And then they popped in the insulation that goes into the roof, and then up went the gyprock yesterday, just in this kitchen area here. So it's pretty much all done, and just needs the wall to be sheeted now, and then they can get the plasterers in to do the rest of their work. It was actually interesting watching them fix sheets like this, because these end runs don't have these little gullies where the plasterers can put tape and plaster. So what they did was they set these joins about 3 to 5 millimeters up into the ceiling, so when they run the plaster off, it looks very smooth. So very professional job indeed. As for the wiring up here, I'm joining the current Century, and we're getting an Ethernet cable. There's a separate one down there that we'll be able to plug into the modem, or the phone line goes there. And we're getting an Ethernet port over here in case we decide to have my computer and Kira's computer over here, just to make the internet work a little bit better for us. One of our Subscribe Star supporters, Charles. G'day Charles, you can check it out up there if you want to see what it's all about. He asked about insulation in the walls. Yes, we are putting insulation in the walls here. Sorry I haven't answered you on Subscribe Star yet, because I was going to include it in the clip. The reason we're putting insulation on this wall in particular is the summer sun sets over there, so this whole wall heats up. So there's a couple of bags of bats over there, and there's a few more around as well. So they're going to hopefully keep the heat out of this wall here. So yeah, there's a bit of a look at what's gone on in here. We'll trip off to the bathroom. So the bathroom's changed quite a bit since the last clip. As you can see, we now have a slider up the top there, which is creating a bit of glare in the screen here. We have everything sealed off, and you can't see it from up here, but they have replaced the floorboards, and we've got all the drains and everything in. At the door here, they've added in a piece of angle, and they're going to build a mortar bed on top of that and have all the tiles sloping down into this center drain. And over here we have a toilet, then we have a vanity, and along the end here we have a large shower. We pretty much all wanted a large shower because, you know, in the future you never know who's going to buy this place, and it's always good to have a good access to a large shower. That section of angle there, which is at the edge of the shower, serves a couple of purposes as I understand it. Not only will there be a mortar bed on top of it that will have the water or the tiles sloping back towards the wall where it'll be picked up by a drain, it'll also form as part of the base for the glass shower panel that we're going to have here. And in the shower itself, we've got a little bit of a different setup. We've got a shower head then the shower taps, and then Bianca wanted a bath set, even though there's no bath in here, down the bottom, just to make it easier to wash Lizzie. Not only that, filling up buckets and containers in the house. It's always good to have something nice and deep. Generally it's the laundry sink, but that's downstairs now. Well, always was actually. So she thought she'd add something like that in there. So yeah, we're pretty impressed with the way it's gone. And we've even got our manhole back. We were wondering if they were going to cut that back out again. Time for a bit of a strange request from you folks. I haven't been faring too well in the YouTube algorithm since we've been renovating, basically because most of you guys aren't interested in renovating, and yeah, if you've stuck with me this long through the clip, thank you very much. But I was wondering if you guys could maybe share around a couple of our clips that have helped you out in the past, just to different social media platforms. The reason being is because I'm not posting a clip every week and regularly, and not clips that people will want to watch, because not a lot of you are here to watch renovation clips. My standing in the YouTube algorithm is slowly slipping downwards. So to keep me relevant, it'd be fantastic if you could share around a couple of clips and whatnot. It would really help out the channel, at least stay relevant within the algorithm. And a huge thanks also needs to go out to the past Patreon and present Subscribe Star supporters, as well as the YouTube membership supporters. Thank you very much, folks, for continuing to support the channel in that way. Also, too, you folks who've been following us for almost 10 years, it's scary to think it's almost 10 years. I really do appreciate the friendships that we've built over these years. I also do need to remind you that I do have some super contributors, people who do support the channel above and beyond, and you can find links to their websites and Facebook groups and pages down below. It'd be fantastic if you could go and share the love and see what they're all about. And yeah, I pretty much will leave it there. I do hope you're all well and happy, and your own gardens and aquaponics, I should say, are booming, and also your renos if you're doing them too. And I will catch you next clip. Cheers, folks. Have a top one.